Hey everybody, coming to you today from the Charleston Crafted Workshop, and today's project is this beautiful scrap wood storage station. Now, there's a lot of cool features about this. It has horizontal racks, it has scrap wood cubbies, and it even has plywood storage on the back. Best part of it, it rolls around and it's completely mobile. We're going to show you how to build this, exactly what we did, and you can download the free PDF plans from our website at the link below. Let's dive into it.
All right, so we redid our garage workshop earlier this year, but this is what we were dealing with in terms of scrap wood storage. It wasn't much, so we had to make something nicer. We started by cutting down some plywood with the Craig adaptive cutting system, and then cutting down 2x4s with our miter saw. We got full cut list available at the link below, but basically we created a frame and some racks, as well as a base to put our little small cutoffs and cubbies.
This project today was sponsored by Craig Tool. We used several of their products to build this scrap wood cart. We used their 720 pocket hole jig, the 520 pocket hole jig, the adaptive cutting system to cut it down. We used a whole bunch of their products. We love using their products because they are beginner friendly, but they also work for all kinds of woodworkers. So let's show you how we used those Craig products when we built this.
All right, so we already showed you using the adaptive cutting system to rip down some plywood, but here's the 720 Pro. We love how easy it is to make pocket holes in plywood. It's easy because they have their Automax clamping system, and then look, we switched right to 2x4s without having to do anything to the jig. It's really, really nice for working with different types of material in the same project. When we needed to put pocket holes in those long pieces of 2x4, we actually switched to the Craig 520 jig. This is nice because it clamps directly onto the piece of wood, and it has a release trigger that loosens it up and tightens it. It's really good for longer pieces of wood that you don't want to stand up tall in a jig. Alright, so now it was time to make this thing mobile. Once everything was cut and drilled, it was time to put this thing on casters. We had a base piece that we added locking casters to, and then we started to build up from there. We started by adding a little lip to the front of the base piece of plywood. This is what we call the plywood edge because this is what we're going to use to actually hold plywood in place on the scrap wood storage. We use a lot of plywood, so we have a lot of different cutoffs. We wanted to make sure that this cart had the ability to store plywood as well as boards. The next element we wanted to make sure we tackled was small cutoffs. We have a lot of small cutoff pieces. Some of these are good for using as a base when you're staining other things, and some of these are hardwood pieces used for small little projects. So we want to make sure we put little cubbies that you can put smaller cutoffs in that wouldn't be great on horizontal racks. Now it's time to build the part 4, the longer boards. It's best to store longer boards horizontally, so in order to do that, we had to build vertical racks. Put vertical posts on a horizontal post to stand up in the center of this mobile cart, and then attach that to the plywood base that we have been making. We did have to make different sized pocket holes to adjust for 2x4s going into 3/4 inch plywood, but it's easy to do. There's a great chart on Craig's website for how to do that. We put these pocket holes in, and then we started to attach the racks. These had a 10-degree angle on them so that there would be a little bit of more protection to keep the boards in place. We used wood glue and pocket hole screws to evenly put spacers between each rack so that we could lay long boards across and make this thing look sturdy and beautiful. Once all the racks were in place, this is what it looked like. 3 different types of wood can be stored here: small cutoffs, long boards, or plywood. This is really, really handy and looks great and works great. So now it was time to get our old scrap wood under control. It took a while to get all of these pieces off of our old storage station and get them organized, determine what we wanted to keep and what we didn't. Then we moved that out of the way. That's probably going to go up in the attic later. As you can see, I'm struggling a little bit to drag that thing across the garage floor, and oh look, this thing rolls in real nicely. It's a big piece of equipment and it just glides very easily on those casters. Again, this is a super mobile friendly cart. It rolls around and you can lock the casters in place when you don't want it to go anywhere. Then we loaded everything back up. This was a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle trying to figure out what types of boards went where, but in the end, it looks great. Look at how we have each of these different types of boards stored on the rack. We got smaller cutoffs in the bottom, we got longer boards laying across the middle, and then on the back is a place to lean some plywood. This is a really great cart. It comes in super useful, super handy, especially in a small workshop or a garage. We have other plans for vertical wall scrap wood storage, but you You can get all these plans at our website at charlestoncrafted.com.